episode number 595. My name is John Morgan, and Cold Coffee is with me for this special Wednesday afternoon. We're just moving stuff around. Schedules is crazy, but I still stand by the fact that at least we know they get done. I'm not stressing you out. Yep. I'm not causing you to be on weight, so I feel a little bit better about it. But, yeah, Wednesday this week. Not Tuesday. Not Thursday like we used to. Not Sunday like we had
right
to.
Right smack dab in the middle.
Right in the middle of it. But maybe Wednesday is the best time to do it so you can just sit there and elate. Is that the right word? I don't know. That Dana White's Contender Series last night was phenomenal, man. I didn't get to attend last night, and hopefully that's one of the few I missed. I'll definitely be there next week because, of course, Bellemere in the main event. By the way, everybody making such a big deal about Bellemere, and deservedly so.
Yep.
I feel really bad because nobody's like asking about her opponent or anything. You know, like she does have a fight on hand, but
it's been like that for everything.
I know.
Even well, I would say when she wrestled against Jocko's daughter,
that felt a little bit 50-50.
That felt a little something because she had a little bit, and obviously coming in with his name, as well, but. I feel like that's been like that her whole career, when it's come to the submission grappling and all that stuff.
You're absolutely right, and understandably so. I mean, there's not too many daughters of UFC Hall of Famers that are getting ready to fight and all that. So it's fair. And by the way, me personally, I mean, heck, you and I have been talking about her for a long time just because I've seen her train here. And I'm like, dude, this girl is going to be special one day. Yeah. So it's all fair, but I just feel like if you signed up to take that fight, like you're the B side of that, right? And people are like, so Dana, Talk to me about Bellemere being here. Special. Had my eyes on her for years. Could he at least throw in but she's got a stiff challenge in front of her in the girl. You know what I mean?
Hunter, who's she fighting?
I feel bad, man. I feel bad. But it is natural. But no, I'm excited about Bella, and I'm also excited, of course, about CFFC middleweight champ Nick Galante, and also Ronald Humphrey is there as well. So I'm excited to be there next week, but was not there last night. But I did have that thing on in the background, was watching it while I was doing some work.
Right from the get-go.
Holy
right from fight number
cow.
one.
I mean, and obviously, this is the rare opportunity that you get to sit out there, so you're not hearing the commentary. Normally it's the other way around. Yep. I'm the one not hearing the commentary. But, I mean, from as the night's going on, Paul Felder, Brendan Fitzgerald, they're like, this is special. And then by the end, they're like, this might be the greatest night in Dana White's Contender Series history. And a lot of times, people kind of jump on that or whatever. You're like, bro, you don't actually remember every episode and everything. Yeah. But just from start to finish, I agree. Maybe that was the best ever. And that atmosphere.
The atmosphere was ridiculous, especially the last fight. And they obviously it's the stuff that you don't see on broadcast, but I mean it was the first time I've ever seen security worried about the crowd popping off. There was a couple points where the crowd was getting loud and getting active, where security was starting to stage some areas. In fact, I was leaving right when they were reading the arm raise for Cakes, or Kaiki, I forget. I've heard his name pronounced a bunch of different ways. When they were getting the arm raise, I saw our buddy Joe Williams, and I was trying to chat with him. He's like, "Hey, I don't mean to cut this short. I gotta watch this crowd right here," because even as they're doing the arm raise, it was so loud hearing everybody that was going there for Fazil. I was like, "What is going on here?" The room was crazy, and even earlier in the night, it was crazy, super loud. But you had people that were representing him flipping off other people in the crowd, flipping off on the cage, doing all this stuff. And I was like, this is bonkers. It was so freaking loud in there.
It felt intense.
It was like, and even Dana, we were like, is this the loudest? He's like, it's a venue now. It is a venue, and it is 100%. That is true. I mean, when we first started seeing some of these things for boxing and some of the other ones when you had some of the bigger crowds, there were moments where you saw glimpses of what could be tonight. Last night, we saw it. Yeah, we heard it. We felt it. It wasn't, and even then, the full layout is not the same as when it is UFC because they got those one risers put in where the kitchen is. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine the length, the loudness that it would be when it's fully decked out when everybody's there. It was that loud last night when it was only 3/4 full. It was bonkers, but the environment was just absolute nuts, and the fights delivered.
Yeah, if you can go, especially the Contender Series, because now
they lowered the price.
They lowered them even further?
It was like $35.
Come on. I mean,
it's ridiculous. I don't know why the first one, maybe they're just testing things out or something, but when some buddies of mine bought are going to go to Bellator, they were like, hey, we want to do this Contender thing because they want to go to UFC. I was like, well, dude, if you want to do something that's a little bit different, cheaper, but they're guys vying to get into the UFC, but it has the same feel. I was like, you should try to give the Contender series. I was like, it's like $45. She pulled it up on her phone. It was like $35, $38. And I was like, maybe this is a fluke or whatever. And then somebody else looked the other day and it was the same thing. It was in the 30s for it or whatever.
If you're going to be in town, like for any reason, obviously if you're local, but if you're going to be in town, you can pull it off. I know it's just a few Tuesdays a year, but yeah, man. I mean, again, if you can go to a UFC, even better, right? Because now you're seeing the stars,
people that you named, you recognize.
People, yeah, exactly. And you're never going to get that close to them. Like we said from the beginning, the Apex to me has always been a special place to go see a fight because you're right up on top of the action. But for this price, man, you got to go. But yeah, what a night,
I was talking
to
Justin Bernard about that same sort of thing. He was like, bro, I love this. He's like, I don't have to do intros. He's like, I got 5 fights. And we were just chatting. I was like, bro. He's like, and I'm around the corner. I was like, bro, I'm 5 minutes down the street. He's like, you got me beat. He's like, we love this. We love this. And so we were just literally talking about it beforehand. So 2 of us just cheesing about the Apex stuff. But even more so, I was just thinking, like, this guy's going to get in there and talk. And here we are just, enthusing over about the environment and everything. And it was
so
just
cool.
But it was everybody. Everybody was caught up in a media, and everybody was just excited and started getting caught up in the fact of the fights were delivering. The crowd atmosphere was just off the chain. So everybody was just having a good time, and you could look around the crowd. Everybody was enjoying it. And now the fact that it's even cheaper than what it was before, it's a no-brainer. But you better get on the ticket because they're selling out quick.
Yeah, they're selling out
fast.
But
what a good price point for that to happen because, there wasn't – besides the VIP area off to the right-hand side that when I remember looking, I didn't see for sale. Those were like maybe that's where you're going to see UFC fighters. And I tell people, too, I'm like – you're going to go to these things. You're going to see fighters. You're going to see influencers. You're going to see everybody right there. So that area wasn't completely filled up. But as for like the risers were completely filled out. It was awesome. It was so cool to see. And then to see how loud that they got. But the crazy thing was just like when everybody's cheering from these guys that have other countries as they're fighting out of places. Like Fazil, his was Kurdistan, even though he was born in Finland.
So intense.
It was
so intense.
Madness. Like I said, I've never seen security get to a point where they're like trying to have to worry about somebody rushing to another side of the area. I was like, this is crazy.
I'll tell you what, man. I don't know how you feel about this, but like now I wouldn't have given him a contract last night because he got flatlined. But
Fazil.
But I still like to see him in the UFC, right? Like
I heard that. Well, Dana didn't. I don't know if you saw Dana's thing.
Thing.
But it was Dana because it was weird because he's like, no, he didn't do anything. I was like,
I
think he was being sarcastic.
No. I'm glad you brought that up because he's like, I know who he is. So if anybody didn't see it in his post fight, I think they said. I know you like to. I think the question was basically, I know you don't like to know anything about these guys before you come in because you want to have a fresh slate.
Yep.
But those two had been kind of jawing and getting attention. Did you know who they were? Were you aware? And he was, I knew him already. And he was like, and he said something happened this week.
Stuff had already happened this week.
See, that caught my interest too because I didn't take it as sarcastic. I wondered if it had something to do with the ticket allotment or something, or like they started finding out that all of his countrymen or all these people wanted to be in there, or. I don't know.
I don't know. I just assumed it.
It was a bad thing, like a security
I just assumed
thing.
that something maybe happened at Palace Station or wherever they're staying. That something was popping off or something along those lines. I mean, knowing how loud and active and what he got during the MVP weekend, what a crazy trip for that dude. He's fighting in the Intuit Dome, and then next thing he's fighting in the Apex, but the crowd sounded probably even just as loud or louder at the Apex because it was so just concentrated. But yeah, I don't know. There was just. When they were like, when you talk about did something happen, he's like, oh no, nothing happened. I was just like,
I would like to get some
something. Just felt like felt weird.
So do you think he's like probably? You think we don't see him in the UFC because it sounds like he might be a hassle? I
think when you kind of alluding to when you have somebody that has that much presence and people behind, it's like why would we not want to do that? But if you can't get through a fight week without having your staff having extra worries or possibly. I mean, if you're, and I don't know if anything happened, but just say something did happen at a hotel or whatever. Now you're putting the UFC at a liability, and if you make yourself a liability by your actions, they're not going to bring you on board.
That's true.
Some people, you got to understand. I mean, I get it. You're about that life. You're about the, whatever. You fought to save your life, and fighting saves you, whatever. But you got to save it for the ring.
Yeah.
If you can't control it and you can't be out in public, then you're just like a wild dog. And the UFC doesn't want to have a bunch of wild dogs running around.
We are about that corporate partnership life.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
We're about them corporate dollars. We're not about paying. We're not about
you
lawsuits.
all about them streets, but we about keeping these blue-collar sponsors or blue-chip sponsors around.
That's it. So, I mean, do I think he can potentially someday? I wouldn't say no because – they're smart enough. They understand if this guy's got a legit people behind him, and he looks the part. He fights the part.
That's it. Maybe tone it down a little. Can we take it back down to like 98%?
But you got to take it back a little bit. But even that, like there is something. And I thought the same thing when I watched him on the MVP. He talks a crazy, crazy game, but then he was walking forward. But he gets hit a lot.
He gets hit a lot,
and he was in trouble even in the MVP fight until he won.
Yeah.
This one, I had him down 2 rounds going in. I was like, I think the other guy's piecing him up, and then that just Hail Mary, basketball or baseball swing. It looked like he got hit by a baseball bat. It was just gnarly.
That's one of the cleanest knockouts you'll ever see.
You want to talk about the people I thought were cheering for Fazio at the beginning. I was like, wow, the same people are cheering about that knockout. I was like, I don't understand what's going on,
That's our guy, bro. If he's losing, he's losing big.
But then that's the beautiful thing, I mean, like when you see something like that was just so amazing, walk-off knockout, that how can you not cheer, especially in that environment? You can just get caught up in it.
I was going to say, you know what that reminds me of is like, Brazil, the heyday of Brazil. You go down there, you're getting Uvai Moreira chance. But if you knock out one of the Brazilians, they're going to cheer for you.
They love a winner. I mean? Like, they love a winner down there.
That was, if you impress, even if you're American, it's like, all right, we got to give it up for you. Like, that was good.
I mean, and as long as you're respectful and you're doing your thing, like, let us yell at you and say you're going to die. But, bro, if you come out and prove that you're a warrior and you're a winner, I'm going to love you. I'm going to cheer you after it.
That was great. Well, listen, man, I just had to mention that because it was
incredible.
A great, great night, great atmosphere. It comes through the TV. And, again,
we knew there was going to be a double at the beginning. I think everybody was like, I was like, I think that has to be a double. I think everybody was starting to like, oh, yeah, it's going to be. And then you're just wondering, especially the way that Dana got literally up out of his seat, made a beeline to the cage to get in there, and then grabbed both guys, and then everybody was just kind of speculating, what's he saying right there? Is he just saying, guys, you got to go to the hospital? Or is he saying like, hey, guys, I'm bringing you both back or whatever?
I'm sitting in the hospital, but I'll see you again.
Yeah.
No, that was great, man. It was a really good night. I love the way the Apex has come out. Like I said, you and I think, have probably been in the minimalist of voices of always saying, like, I like the Apex the way it is. You know what I mean? Yep. Like, it's cool. But there's no denying, man, this thing right now. And it looks good on TV, too. I don't think you've seen it on TV yet because obviously you're there. But just the way, the colors of the wall.
The colors. Like, I thought the wall was probably one of the coolest things that they've added to it. It looks cool in person, so I imagine that it comes across on TV. But in the room, it literally, when you think about what it was before, it wasn't like it was lacking the light. But when you see the light now, you're just like, wow.
It's a little nicer.
This is kind of cool.
I like the way it's I might see, like I said, I'm going to be there next week. I might see if they're not all sold out, if I can buy tickets like that VIP area that's above where the media area is.
They'll sell you the VIP there.
Yeah. No,
I just thought you were going to be like, yo, D.
Oh,
I want to take my family.
I might just see, like, I might.
But I think if they're part of the VIP tickets, I mean, they're probably still decently pricey.
I did hear who said it. Who said it last night that if you don't get here by 4, the traffic's bad?
Actually, I don't think the VIP area is open for the Dana Whites.
No.
Because I remember walking last night. Because normally you'd always hear the.
No, I'm not talking about the
but
old
I assume
one.
That was part. I assume that was part of the
old
the
one's
same
like
thing.
TV studio now. Like they basically.
Oh no! Like where you normally, like when you're walking from the media room, normally they'll have like the eating area off to the side. So I just assumed if you had access to that, you had access to the VIP thing upstairs. But I know they didn't have any VIP thing last night, so I wonder if they don't have the VIP thing open
now. I've got to get VIP tickets just so I can educate you on all that. You know what I mean? Then instead of me sitting here saying, I don't know, I'm not aware. Now I can be like, oh, let me tell you, Cold Coffee, you walk right through here. There's 6 steps up to the left, and I can explain the whole experience.
Have you been upstairs to it?
No, I haven't seen it.
So you weren't there for the tour?
No, because I didn't see the tour. So you got to walk up.
It's a little more than 6 steps. Yeah, it's a little bit. But.
Oh, look at him. He's driving. Just a little dust off the shoulder right there. Yeah, I might see if I can get some tickets to check that. It's fun, man. I want to go check that out. But yeah, I was laughing because somebody last night said if you don't show up by 4, the traffic's bad, and I can vouch for that. Last week, because that's the only bad thing that they got to figure out right now is because there's only and so here's a word of advice to anybody: if you do buy tickets, it is absolutely a pain in the ass to get in because it is a venue now, a proper venue, but there's still only like one little area to get in, and there's a guard gate, and I don't know if they're actually
to everybody,
every single person. So you stop
every single person, and some it's not just like, oh hey, even I'm like I'll say what I say I don't want to say, so somebody else pulls up and tries to do it, but I'm like, bro, I know you're newish or whatever, but if I say a couple of things, you should be like, okay, they're good. And it even takes me a little bit. So I know it takes for the people that show up like, hey, I'm here to see the Contender series.
And it's coming from both sides. So Torrey Pines obviously is the name of that street. Obviously, I say obvious to us.
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't know that. But there's traffic coming in both directions because it's coming from 215 and it's coming from Sunset behind it. So they're like,
take turns to try to get into the one.
So it's one lane, and you're taking turns to get in there. So yeah, if you're gonna go there, show up maybe earlier than you thought because it's gonna take
an hour and a half early last time.
Yeah, it's gonna
normally
take
you get there about an hour, but I saw that they're like, you can come an hour and a half. I was like, well, I'll be there in an hour and a half.
I wonder if that's why. If that was a reaction to the.
Could be.
They realize it takes a long time to get everybody.
Well, I mean. The way that we luckily always do shit, we get there early. So anyway. But it's the people that think that they can go in 30 minutes before and get in. Like, bro, you're gonna get stuck. In traffic.
got a good shout out to you this past weekend. So great weekend, by the way. CFFC, and I'll talk about that momentarily. But it was funny because obviously I went to UFC 330, and Jake Noaker with Home of Fight. He was actually like, bro, if you need, because I was staying at a hotel by the airport because that's where we were using as our hotel. And he was like, bro, if you need, he's like, it's on my way to the arena from where I drive. He's like, if you want me to pick you up,
oh, that's awesome.
I'll scoop you up. And I was like, bro, I appreciate that. That'll save me an Uber ride or whatever. Yeah, like, thank you. And he's like, one thing though. He's like, I don't, since I'm still kind of on the newer side, he's like, I don't really have like an assigned seat yet. He's like, so I like to get there early so I can be at the front of the line and I can make sure that I got my spot. I'm like, Jake, I spent 20 years getting there. Like, me and Cole Coffee were like the first one in line. I'm like, it would be weird to me to not show up first and be there early. So he's like, all right. It was so funny. He felt like he was putting me out. Like, I'll get you a ride, but you're gonna have to wait in line. And
that's funny.
I was like, bro, don't even sweat it. I was like, that's how we made Junkie. That's what we did. We were number one in line forever and ever and ever. Yep. So
I get anxious if I'm not like going. And plus, we've talked about before, like, if the call time's a certain time and then you're ready to go, I'm usually ready to go hours in advance. I'm like, nothing else. I'm just sitting here like, okay, eventually I'm going to go. Okay, I'm just sitting here. What am I doing? I'm like, why don't we just get in the car and go?
Get there.
And just get there.
Especially, bro, on the East Coast, man. Oh, the East Coast is the worst. I mean, like, report time's like 5 o'clock. You know, you got the whole day. So,
and then you're stuck there till the middle of the
night. But it was good. UFC 330 was fun.
Some good fights.
Some good fights that night. I thought the main event was, I saw a lot of people. It was a tactical battle. It's not a fight that I'll go watch again and again and again, but it
didn't quite live up to what I think we expected.
It wasn't, but it was a tactical battle, and it had some ebbs and flows. I did have it 2-2 going into the fifth, so that made it kind of entertaining. I did say, though, I was like, I'm pretty sure the judges are going to have it 3-1. 2 of the 3 did. I had it 2-2, but, obviously then at the end, Islam gutted it out with that last takedown. And once he got to the back on the takedown, you're like, he's not giving this. He's not losing this position, so this is over. Yeah. I will say, it got me out. It's such a silly, dorky thing, but it got me out of my seat. Bro, that little single leg takedown that Islam had where he, like, locked in on the single and then hit the trip on the other side, that was just little – that's what makes that dude so good, man. So that was fun. So, anyway, good night. UFC 330. Philadelphia crowd. Vicious. I mean, just F you, Gary was during the main event. It was hilarious to hear. Like,
that's weird. I don't think I heard that on the broadcast. No.
Bro, F you, Gary. And it started in like one section over here, and it happened for like a round. And then like 2 rounds later, it started over here on the other side of the arena. So Ian Machado Gary, not a beloved figure in Philadelphia.
I mean, again, and I don't know if it's really even that much or just people just want to hate on whoever's fighting Makhachev. Yep. I mean, maybe there is a little bit, but I think, Ian's toned it down quite a bit. I don't think he says the same shit or does the same stuff. He's not making T-shirts and really going on, going all in like he used to. So I feel like he's mellowed out some and he's really kind of embraced the dad mode.
I like him.
But yeah, I mean, I think, part of it, you just, people absolutely love Islam and that team, that you're going to have people hating on him regardless of whatever. But I mean, yeah, it was, it was an interesting fight. But yeah, I was like, man, you talked all this, and then he was just didn't do what I quite thought. But in the same sense, he was able to kind of keep Islam into doing a little bit of a different fight. And I know he kind of wanted, there were moments where he wanted to do the knockout, because I think he wanted to give it a little bit back. But I thought both guys didn't have the best of performances, So, but I mean, at the end of the night, I mean, the guy won that I thought was going to win. It just, I think where I was kind of not on the edge of my seat, but there was always that moment of like, is something finally going to pop off? So I was like, okay, is he really going to start throwing? Is he going to do a little something? Because he had a couple of little moments, but at the same time, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to just see another takedown. I'm like, come on, Islam, throw something, like let's make it a striking battle. And then it was just kind of like, next thing you know, the round's over. I was like, what is going on?
Honestly, it scared me a little bit in thinking of Islam's future fights at 170. Like, Morales and Prochas, are huge.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And especially Morales. I mean, I think Prochas would be a fun fight, but I don't think he has the takedown offensive like Morales. Morales is going to be a scary
fight for Islam.
But yeah, I mean, Prochas is tough too, but I mean, like, I feel Islam's chances against Prochas are better than what they are against Morales, but both those dudes are huge dudes.
Yep.
And I don't know. I thought Dana was a little bit harsh afterwards, talking to a little bit about Gary being too nice and too whatever. I mean, I think there is something to it, but I mean, also I think us have been we like the respectful martial arts side of things. I don't need everybody crazy whatever, so I don't mind if a guy's going in there and is really taken in the moment, like here I'm fighting the guy that could be the pound for pound. Some people wonder if he's the GOAT, to, appreciate those moments and have those moments of trying to connect with your opponent. I don't need, not that, I don't know. Some people just feel like, oh, there's too much hugging, whatever. Even, Islam sort of a little bit after, and Khabib said it, I don't mind it, but again, I don't want to see every round end and then start with like a hug beforehand. Like that would get a little bit tedious. Then I'd be like, come on, can you just punch him in the face? But I didn't mind it.
The ones that bother me are like when they stop exchanges to like, fist bump or whatever. Like, bro, you're still fighting. You know what I mean? Like beginning of the round, end of the round. Like, okay, but like, but I agree. I
thought it was a bit harsh.
I thought it was a little harsh, but I do agree with Dennis' mindset. Because again, I had it 2-2 going to the fifth. I'm like, bro, just turn it up just a little bit. Like it might be 2-2 right now. Like turn it up.
And even his coaches were like, bro, we need this round. And I just felt like I think he started decent, but I was just like, and then it petered off, and I was just like, okay, I just didn't feel like he was there as much in the last. But still, ultimately, I thought it was a good fight. But yeah, it just wasn't quite what I thought it would be. But it still had those moments. Every watching, I was like, I feel like something. We're right there.
Yep.
Something just can easily switch with that talent of guys, and it didn't. But yeah. Rest
of the card was fun though.
Yeah, the co-main. I was a little surprised.
Was rough.
I was a little surprised.
So UFC 330. Great week last week, right? Like CFFC 159, amazing. Like fun fights, high level fights. Like having the UFC brass in there. Like it was the way we had it set up. Like literally, I didn't get to talk to them much because I was on air the whole time. You know what I mean? But they were literally like sitting right next to us, and everybody's hanging out, and eating some Angelo's cheesesteaks and watching fights and enjoying it. And, a kid gets signed right there to Dana White's Contender series in the back, which is so cool to hear stories like that. And, you can feel the energy. And that's on the heels of Bilal Hassan, like, the longtime CFFC champ, getting, like, this huge recognition. Like, his star is blowing up. Can't wait to see him fight in Shanghai next week. Awesome stuff. So it's a great week, right? Then we sit down for UFC 330. First fight of the night. Jeremiah Wells, like that insane comeback to the Marquez MMA guy. Because I see the Marquez MMA guys all the time being in Philly, right? It's like John Marquez, Jonathan Webb. They're at every single one of our shows because they have fighters on every single one of our shows. So to see that, because, talking to all the guys ahead of time, like everybody loves Jeremiah because he's been around forever. He's an older dude, so to be in the type of freakish shape that he is at this point in his career is unbelievable. But, when you were talking about the fight, when it got made, I think everybody's like, well, he's got a tough, they got their boy, but they knew, they're like, hey, yeah, he's got a tough one. He doesn't have an easy assignment. It's good.
Bro, it was like a done deal in my book, and I couldn't have been wronger.
Unbelievable.
At all. Unreal.
I mean, what a night. And then gets on the mic, and I didn't know that he used to work there in that building. You love stories like that, right? Like, I love stories like that. Man, I used to, have to take the trash out here, and now I'm fighting here in the so
That's pretty
cool. Like, everything about it was so cool, right? So great. Rest of the night's fun. A lot of highlights. For the prelims, I mean, almost everything other than Chidi and Joel, which I thought, dude, I was sitting right next to Nolan King, and I was like, Chidi and Joel, I was like, this could get wild. He's like, yeah, it could. And then, 15 minutes later, we're both like, we jinxed the hell out of that, huh? So, that was a terrible fight. So, by the way, good seeing Nolan King. I haven't seen him in a long time. Yeah. So, we were sitting next to each other on press row for a lot of it. So, great night. And then the controversy at the end. So the whole week's amazing. Yeah. And then my boy Dean Thomas got to catch some strays coming out of it, making some comments. Well,
it wasn't like he catching straight. He kind of brought that on himself.
I do agree. And one thing that you and I have always talked about is priding ourselves on just being honest, keeping it real. Say anything you say, just be willing to say it to somebody's face. I think Dean's apology. Kind of summed it up, right? Like, hey, man, it was just inappropriate timing. It was a poor choice of words. It was poor timing of words. And there's no defending it. You know what I mean? And so I respect his ability to come back and, lay that apology out there and make no excuses and just say, it was on me. I do want to throw one caveat in there at Dean's defense. Now, I like Dean Thomas a lot, and I agree. It was inappropriate. It was wrong. So I agree with everything that he says, right? Like I actually was talking about this earlier in the week with Josh Thompson of Jillian Robertson kind of came out and basically said hey, appreciate your apology, but I'm not really down for it right now. I can't hate her for that either. You know what I mean? She has every right to feel offended and upset and be like, nah, man, I'm not cool with that right now. So I totally understand. But I will say this, and once again, to your point, it's not like he was forced into this situation, whatever, but very rarely do we take a losing coach in a fight and then put him on an analyst desk to break down their immediate feelings and reaction, right? So, Dean knew what he signed up for. Obviously, he knew he was pulling double duty, and he knew that was a possibility. And, it's not like he's new to the analyst role or he's uncomfortable with being there or he didn't realize that he was on air or he didn't know that it was going to be, broadcast somewhere. But I want to at least defend him a little bit in that, these seem like odd statements for a coach to be making afterwards. Yeah, but how often do we talk to a coach immediately afterwards about how they're feeling in the moment? So I just at least want to throw that caveat out there. Look, at least understand that Dean is in a position that not a lot of people find themselves in.
Yeah, and I'd have to go back and look at the full verbiage because I don't want to misphrase and paraphrase. But, when he started coming out, I just didn't feel like he ever properly was gave her she gave her best, she tried, whatever. It was he never really touched on it. So I think if you're trying to make an apology to the person, you should actually make words to that person and not just try to address the situation. I felt like he kind of did a little bit, it felt like he was doing PR cleanup as opposed to apologizing to the person that he was supposed to be apologizing to. And when I think he said something was trying to get views, for the ratings, and I was trying to drum up some stuff, and I was like, so it wasn't, I just felt like he didn't really, ever really talk to her as opposed to just saying sorry that my timing was bad when I was trying to make this announcement or whatever. And I just felt so when she kind of put it off, I was like, that was the one person that should have been thank you very much, for us to sort of I think a lot of us were shocked by it. And so when he did come out and we saw that there was an apology, I was like, good, thank you. And I'm glad that he did it quickly. But then when you heard that the person that, that it was really supposed to be for was didn't feel like it had addressed the things or whatever. And after this close relationship that those guys have been together, I felt so bad for the situation because there was a lot of years of work together, closeness that you kind of feel bad because there's certain things that in this sport that I think, when you have the two fighters that I'm not going to fight my brother, I'm not going to fight my brother. The last thing you think on the same sort of wavelength is a coach ever really saying something against that particular fighter to where it makes them feel like they didn't give their whatever or, make it about themselves or something. But I'm glad he went out and he said something. It was just, in the heat of a moment, he should have just been enough to say, all right, I have some emotion about this or whatever. I just need to, compartmentalize it and then get through where he needed to do without trying to bring up these emotions and stuff. And maybe better going forward, other people that are in that same sort of roles, because we've seen other people. He's not the first to get off the mic and go corner somebody. DC's done it. Other people have done it, So it's been done before. So it can be done, But I just felt I felt bad for Jillian. At the end of the day, I felt that Jillian didn't get really the apology, and it sucks that we all had to see this happen and play out in front of us, But a lot of people like ourselves, we love Jillian. I've always been fans for it. So when that kind of came out, I was just like, man, wow, Dean. It made me feel a little bit different. So I was glad that he came out and apologized, and I just still feel like the apology could have been a little bit more sincere, and maybe address more to her, as opposed to still just trying to, and then, but also to putting like anything where you're like, oh, I was doing it for this, I was doing it for that, ratings or whatever. I was like, is that true? Did he really say that? And I was like, that makes me feel worse about what he did, So I don't know. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, it doesn't change. I respect his brain. I respect the work that he's done, and everybody can do some really kind of weird, questionable things. This is just one of those ones where, I just felt like the time that they had spent together, that I'm surprised that something like this would happen and do like this, because it just makes you feel like, well, were you really that close to her? Because to kind of do it like this, and I know he was. So I don't want to try to say it like that. I mean, they've been together forever, but it was just like, man, that's all you can kind of come up with.
Yeah, I thought the timing of it was bad. Number one, like, man, why has it got to be about you right now on her worst night? So that was bad. And then the other part that was like, I wanted to take her as far as I could, and this looks like it's it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, so now you're capping off my potential as well. Like, I thought that was kind of hurtful. Even if it's. I mean, even if it's honest, you know what I mean? Even if it's honest, like, okay, well, maybe that's a conversation
but also
we can have behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't.
You can have those thoughts or whatever, but there was no reason, because that just added fuel to that. Just made it, that drove the knife in a little bit more.
I felt bad. I just watching everybody come at Dean, and like I said, I think the criticism is fair. The criticism of the timing, the criticism of the decision, it's all fair. But like, good people do dumb shit sometimes. You know what I mean? That's what I think, and I think he is a really good dude that made a mistake. And I see people just kind of coming out of the way. But I guess that's just the internet and whatever, right? People just want to talk trash. But that kind of soured my whole week was great. Everything was phenomenal, and then that, man.
And again, I mean, and I think, and time over, I think everybody would love to see them reconcile and have like a proper, like, oh yeah, that was like a weird whatever or something, because we've been watching their relationship for so long, and he helped her out in a lot of ways. But again, I think a lot of people just appreciate Jillian, so I think a lot of people wanted to defend, because they were just like, what the heck? It was just so strange and out of left field. But both sides will recover, and in time, everybody forgets and forgives everything. But it was just like one of those things. But Dean still, he's got a great brain for it or whatever, and plus, I think anything with like MMA retirements, bro, you really think you're going to be done? Like, I can see him want to go back, but it's like, if his schedule I can see him not wanting to do a commentary gig and corner at the same night. Like, if that's it and that's what you're retiring from, I get it. But you have a great brain. You are smart. You do break things down. Unless you really just don't, I can only imagine the heartache to help follow a long career and have somebody not be able to get those things. I'm sure the losses hurt just as much for the whole team, outside of the fighter. And I know that's got to weigh on you. So if you want to be able to step back from that, I totally get it. But I definitely think he's still got more to give into that particular area. But if his career is taken off to where it's like, I can't possibly juggle both together, and something needs to stop, then I understand the retirement. But in most MMA retirements, the shit don't stick.
But you touch on something too that I think people probably forget sometimes with these coaches, is that we talk all the time about that it is a cliche, it's the highest of highs, lowest of lows, but it really is. Like, this sport, when you win, you are on top of the world, and when you lose, it sucks. But that filters to the coaches too, who have to do it week after week. It's
not like they're getting rich off of doing this stuff. They do it because they love it and they want to be there for the person, and they're leaving their family. They're spending their time. They're doing whatever that they have to do to be there. You would have to be a robot to not be affected by it.
Absolutely.
So I get it. And I get it that it probably was extra painful when you're trying to yell something to your fighter and it doesn't feel like it's communicating. But we've seen this happen thousands of times. How many times have we been watching fighters being talked to their coaches, and it just doesn't resonate. And these are fighters and coaches that know what it takes to motivate their fighters, and when it doesn't, that's got to be so frustrating. Mm-hmm. And I think this was one of those nights where that frustration boiled over into, what became like this weird sort of publicity, bumble that he had to deal with. But I'm glad that he came out and addressed it. If it wasn't the next day, I think it would have been even worse. So I'm glad that he addressed it. He and I know I didn't watch the video, but clearly here's a video that Chael said that it was the perfect apology. So there's some people that are even going to be on the both sides of that, thinking that the apology was perfect. And there's going to be people that say the apology could be a little bit better. But I'm glad that there was an apology. Now it's between those two.
Yep.
We don't need to.
Doesn't people need to be a continued news cycle thing.
It. People don't need to fucking keep carrying it. And even something last night, Tim was like, "Should we talk about Dean to Dana?" I'm like, "Why? Yeah. Who freaking cares?" And Dana, it's not like Dana's paying attention to all the little stuff that's going on there. More than likely, he'd be like, "No, I heard a little bit, but no, I don't know anything about it. Or whatever." But honestly, it is. We talked about it because I think,
it's a big story right now.
It was a big story.
And it involves people that we've worked closely with for a long time. You know what I mean? So,
but now the ball's in their court.
That's it.
Let
them handle it. And Jillian wants to, deal with it in due time. Like I said, she's not ready to process it right now. She's got enough stuff to process. You know what I mean? So
that was a tough one. I mean, she made it to the top and got that shot at a title, and a lot of questions because none of us thought it was going to go like that. And it just felt like she didn't. I mean, we knew that if they got down to the grappling and we knew that there was going to be jiu-jitsu moments that Mackenzie was equally as strong, if not stronger, in those fields. And so it was like, what else are we going to see? But Mackenzie was the one that was engaging in the striking and doing the other little stuff. And it was just like, Jillian, what else did you have in the plan?
Yeah, where's plan B?
And that was what was questionable. And we all love her, but it was frustrating to watch it. But I got to give all credit to Dern. I can't just say that, Jillian didn't show up. She obviously, the other moments where that jiu-jitsu could kind of win her over just wasn't working, So got to give Dern credit, man. Good on her, man. That is a legit title defense. She got some tough names, potentially in the future. But Jillian that's a huge
it's a big win.
Title defense for her, so got to give Dern all the credit in that one.
So if anybody didn't get a chance to see CFFC 159, 9-fight main card, so it was just high level fights, so we were like, we can't put any of this on prelims, so we just ran 9 fights through, no breaks at all, we just all gas. We got a lot of compliments for that after, which was nice. Like I said, it was great having everybody in the building, but 2 moments that super, super stood out. Number 1, Jared Betancourt getting the invitation to Dana White's Contender Series, which is awesome. Mick Maynard took him into the hallway and talked. But it was cool, too, because not only was it cool because Jarrett, I had never met Jarrett until this week. Hey, he's really exciting, but this kid's got swag and he's cocky. And at the weigh-ins, he was talking trash. And he was fun. He brought everything.
He's one of Burns' dudes.
That was what I was going to say.
I didn't realize that until I saw that.
Because I crawled in there to do the interview, and I knew it because obviously I'd helped with this paperwork and all that stuff. But I didn't realize that Gilbert was there, and Gilbert stepped in the cage too. You talk about another guy that absolutely loves. So to see him, I don't know, it's kind of fun. Here's this dude that I covered his career from the beginning. I interviewed him. I did all this stuff. And now here I am in the next phase of my career doing this stuff with CFFC, and here he is in the next phase of his career doing the management thing. And I don't know, it was just kind of cool and dapped up and everything. It's like, wow. So that was cool. And then the other one that was cool was Jeremiah Delgado. This kid at 21 years old, we put him on the card knowing that the whole idea was that, let's give the UFC matchmakers a bunch of UFC-ready talent to look at. And, they can look at him up close and decide whether they want to sign him, Contender Series, whatever the case may be. But Jeremiah Delgado, as a youngster at 2-0 and now 3-0, we know is not ready for the UFC, but the dude has shown insane skills. He's a Philadelphia kid. So, obviously everybody there knows him very well. He's part of that Marquez MMA squad. And everybody at Marquez MMA is like, bro, they call him Jay. Jay's the truth. Jay's next level. Jay's gonna be the guy. And so, it was like, all right, well, let's put Jay. I call him Jeremiah. Maybe I need to start calling him Jay. Maybe I need to ask him, do you want to be Jay? But it was like, hey, Yeah,
it's not like Jeremiah is the hardest name to say. Right. They're like, bro, it's just so much easier.
It's probably just because they have Jeremiah Wells in there too, so they'd probably call him Jay, so it's not confusing or whatever. I don't know if that's how it started, but anyway, so they call him Jay. But But for him to go out there and get that opportunity and to turn in the viral head kick knockout, like, so cool. And then to go over there and, like, the matchmakers wanted to talk to him and everything. And, obviously not ready to sign him right away, but they had some words of encouragement, some words of advice.
3-0, like, you got
a little early.
Yeah, it's a little bit early, but, for them, that's like, bro, you're on the radar.
You're on the radar. Like, the next time they see you, like, I remember that. Like,
that's so cool.
I thought that was so cool. That dude was on cloud 9, as you can imagine. But, hey, he's the one that went out there and
everybody
delivered.
fought like they knew that the matchmakers were in the building, so that's pretty darn cool.
It's one thing to be like.
And they were there early, right? Because I was listening to the broadcast. They got there pretty early.
They got there
right?
before the prelim. So I actually got to talk to Mick and Sean briefly before we went on air. So I made sure to talk to them. I was like, hey, I probably won't get to see y'all later tonight because y'all will be busy. I was like, so I just want to say hello. Thanks for coming in, all that. They were there before the first prelim started.
That's cool.
But dude, I'm telling you right now, because it's one thing to like try to get like viewing like the audience to know like, hey man, it's gonna feel different. Like there's people, but bro, I'm telling you, at the weigh-ins. Like the weigh-ins the day before, everybody there was a little bit of different energy. You know what I mean? Like, of course everybody's on edge. They've been cutting weight. They're ready to weigh in. They don't, they want to look tough in front of their opponents. But I was telling our guys, I'm like, this feels different, dude. Like,
that's cool.
And 100% the night of, like, everybody's a little bit more like all business. It's not like, hey, it was
awesome.
It was cool, man. It was a fun night, man, and just a fun weekend. So really enjoyed that, and I hope we get to do it again sometime. With bringing the guys out and having the UFC Fight Pass people in the building and all that. So really, really, really good time. I enjoyed that one. That'll be one for the memory books there. So this week it is UFC Sacramento. We talked about, of course, the Dana White's Contender Series that was off the charts, and now you got Dana White's Contender Series as well, making it to California. Dana White's Contender Series, UFC making it to California, Sacramento. Love the energy out there, man. That's always a great place to watch a fight. I imagine. Well, we had Uriah Faber in the building, but I imagine he'll be in the building on Saturday night as well. Always good to see a really nice building in there, down there. I can't remember what they call it.
Golden One Center.
Golden One Center. That's what I was looking for the name of. I couldn't remember.
I'm not sure how long it's been called that, or if that's like, I'm so bad at keeping track of like venue names. This day and age, I feel like venue names change every few years or whatever. But the Golden One Center.
Golden One Center. All right. Well, a card that I think is kind of getting shunned a little bit, but I think as always there's some bright spots in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of good fights on this one.
Completely agree, including the main event, of course, is the one that is the most meaningful.
Yep.
In the middleweight division, you've got Anthony Fluffy Hernandez and Gregory Hobocapa Rodriguez. Big one here, man. Anthony seemed like he was on this insane run. He was like the guy that everybody was talking about, and then he came up against Sean Strickland, and I feel like that all got derailed. Meanwhile, I think RoboCop's like that a little bit too, but in a different place, right? Like he was the one, and then he, gets knocked out by Cannonier, and everybody's like, off the bandwagon. Now he's bounced back with some wins. So this is a big fight. Like, I don't want to say a crossroads fight or whatever, but I think both these guys at this point in their career, like, you take a setback here at this point. Now you might have to start thinking, I guess that title run, it's not going to materialize for me. And again, I don't want to run anybody out too soon, but when they're proven veterans like this, it feels like this is a big one.
Yeah, these are like, let me make sure I can maintain my spot in the top 10, let alone like the top 5, and vie in contention. Yeah, this is like two guys that legit is worth something, because this, if you don't lose this, if you lose this, you certainly set yourself back multiple fights before you're ever back into, a contention sort of thing. So I think both guys, while their positions with the company are obviously very safe, both these are guys that people love watching. We know what we're going to get when they're in the fight. This is definitely has, importance when it comes to, are you possibly going to get a chance to get up to the thing?
Exactly.
You lose this fight, you're set yourself back potentially years. In the terms of, if it takes 3 or 4 fights of winning back up, that could take you 2 years, depending on how things play out. So, no, it's going to be a great fight, and both guys are very beloved. I think both guys, people love it. It's funny. Mike Bond did an interview with Hernandez, I think it was yesterday or whatever. And, like every fighter, for some reason, just can't do an interview at home. They got to be in a car going somewhere or whatever. And I guess in this situation, he was driving up into Sacktown, But I guess he was like, he had some other weird bad interviews, so he was just all frustrated. So he's like, I just want to get in the car and just go. And I guess he took a couple gummies too or something. I was like, okay. I was like, that's Hernandez, right? I mean, that is him. That is Fluffy being Fluffy. He's just like, it's fight week. I'm frustrated, but let me just pop some freaking gummies because of this stuff. But that's so much of what we expect of him, and just I think also why people are just love the dude. He can literally turn a switch and become this crazy killer, but in the same sense, he's the kind of guy that's going to eat gummies and just freaking be like chill and wants to relax, and get off the grid, So this will be fun. But yeah, this fight definitely it has some importance, definitely not like a gatekeeper thing, but this is definitely more of guys like, you want to keep your name in the contention because, these sort of fights, both these guys matter for the division, for the whatever, but whoever loses is going to take a setback, and the other guy maintains their spot. I don't think if Fluffy wins this, he's, this is pushing him up closer, but it's certainly maintaining his spot.
This is about maintaining. This is about not slipping back right now.
Yep.
Intriguing matchup. I like it. I'm actually kind of leaning RoboCop in this one a little bit. I don't know if that's crazy or not, but I don't know. That's kind of the direction I'm thinking right now.
Could be. But he's got a good possibility.
It's a good fight. Can I just share something? I'm going to share something. I just got a text. Obviously, like junk texts and stuff.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Because yours pops up on your computer.
Yeah. Hey, it's Dave. Just following up on my last message about the U.S. partnership with Israel. Do you have a moment to chat? What kind of weird ass?
That's some weird spam.
Hey man, let me just.
That's a Russian bot right there. I was hoping
just to hop on, talk a little U.S. Israel, man. Can we just? Yeah.
Don't. That shit can lead to bar fights. Don't talk politics. Don't bring that stuff up. That's you get some weird bar fight
That'll
shit.
Get you knocked out outside the keg, bro.
Freak out. But no, that's crazy. I get so random spam, and now especially too, because midterms are coming up. My phone, I'm just like, blah.
Leave me alone.
Like, block everything.
Leave me alone.
Block everything.
Sergey Spivak and Vitor Petrino at heavyweight is the co-main event. I like Vitor Petrino in this, and Sergey, though, I'll be honest with you, I'd probably count him out of every fight he ever wins. He just looks like a dude that's not going to be insanely successful in the UFC and then finds a way to win.
It's a good fight. I'm surprised it's the co-main. I think the next fight, I think the RDR should have been the co-main event.
That one's a weird one, too. Both guys are moving up to light heavyweight, and they put them up against each other. Like, hey, let's take two middleweights that are changing divisions, and let's just put them together.
But in terms of, like, name power, granted,
more.
Sergey, has been in some contention ones, and, Vitor, there's nothing wrong with that, but I was just really surprised when I'm just looking at it right now. I'm like, why?
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, the Spivak and Petrino fight, I think that's going to be good. I mean, there's every possibility that somebody's going to be sleeping on that one. And same with the RDR ones. I can definitely feel that somebody's going to get tapped.
Mm-hmm.
Both guys are really solid, but I'm really interested to see that because, I mean, we've seen Roman go in there and manhandle some people, but when he runs into a tough person that can fight those takedowns and fight that grappling, we get a good fight. And RDR, man, he's a fun dude to watch, and he's really fun on fight week as well.
Yeah, he's a good interview.
He's a good interview. Not that Dolidze isn't. Dolidze's good in his own right as well, but RDR I've come to really enjoy his interviews and stuff. I think he's a pretty funny dude.
I do too. And see, this is where it gets interesting, right? So I think a lot of people looked at this card, and again, I get it, man. Like, so the middleweight, you've got a meaningful middleweight fight, but not a number one contender fight. You've got a heavyweight fight that maybe a little head scratcher is why that's the co-main. But then you start getting into some spots where this is what I was saying. I feel like people kind of looked at this card and like, Mason Jones is one of my favorite fighters to watch fight.
This is a great fight. This is a really good fight.
A really, really good fight with Markel Madero, so that's a phenomenal fight.
Yep.
The women's division after that, Crispy Carly Judice, a lot of people believe, she's got a huge, huge, bright future ahead. She's definitely been fun so far.
Yep.
She's got a tough fight in there. Anthony Went, this absolute monster coming off Contender Series.
Bro, was that 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks
ago. That was like last week.
Yeah, that was 8 days ago, bro, and we're already talking about his debut. He made the faster turnaround than Bilal Hassan, so you got him on there. You got Lerian Douglas.
I'm going to pick him, too. I mean,
bro.
Went is a real deal.
That dude's a savage, man. And again, I really liked, if you didn't get a chance to watch his interview, hopefully, I'm sure they'll do some pre-fight media with him or whatever, but I don't know. I liked his attitude, too, man.
Yeah.
I just like the way he went about everything. So you got that. You got Lerian Douglas, who looks like an absolute problem against Jamal Emmers. That's great. Look, I mean, even Gaziv and Kennedy, you got. I mean, so there's some fun fights on here, man, on the undercard. So again, if you want to, kind of slam on this card a little bit and be like, whatever. I get it if you're just looking at the top, but make sure you look down because, again, I do think this is another fight card where we're going to have some fun fights that are exciting after,
Yep. I mean, how can you not like when Kennedy fights on the Padilla fight? The hack per ass fight's going to be fun. Yep. I mean, it's good. I mean, you get down towards the bottom. I mean, but even Elise Reed and Chanel Dyer, I'm actually kind of interested for that fight.
So obviously, Elise Reed comes through CFFC, so I'm always cheering for her. She's really, really, really small, and it was always going to be a problem. Like if she had she'd be like an atom weight. If there was an atom weight, she would be that. But she's tough as nails, bro. Yep. She's going to go out there and scrap. And then Chanel Dyer, who, a lot of hype around her. She had the setback on Contender Series, I think a lot of people were surprised with, but she came back and picked up a win, and I think a lot of people are very, very hype about her as well. So, I think there's good spots all up and down this card. So if you're buying into the hype and you're saying, oh, I'm kind of writing this one off because everybody's saying it sucks, I don't think it does suck, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be.
And it's on Paramount Plus. It's all you got to open up your. And not like you got to open up your wallet and it starts the main card is. It the prelims at 5? Is that 5
That
p.m.
I don't know
Eastern?
Because I will actually be working on Saturday, so I will have to actually catch this in a replay. So if that's a 2 p.m.,
if it's a 2 p.m., I like that.
2 p.m. start for the main card?
Well, if it says 5 p.m., I don't know if that's main card or if that's prelims. I can never tell when Tapology, when they have their thing, because it just says 5 p.m. Eastern, so maybe that's the prelim start. That was probably more prelim at 2 p.m., which means that the main card would be roughly 5 or 7 our time or something like that, 5 or 6.
Now you're going to bother me. That got to be accurate. Yeah, you're right. So the main card starts at 5 p.m. Pacific, prelims start at 2 p.m. Pacific.
2 p.m.
So, I mean, you're talking about from 2 to 8 Pacific. Like that's
I like it.
Get up and get a little work done, stuff around the house done. Then you still have a little evening time afterwards.
Yeah.
Go out and
that's a good card. I mean, Saturday, this time of the year, it's not like there's a ton of other stuff to watch. I mean, granted, I'd be watching.
Not for now until your college football is not too far off, though, right? Not too far off.
It's coming.
Ohio State, good as always.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I can't remember if they got the pre-ranked 1 or 2 or something. I know they're up there a little bit, which always, as much as I like when they get highly ranked, I
kind of like to fly under the radar a little
bit.
A
little bit. Not a big fan of starting off 1 and then, everybody's hating on it and talking shit all. I kind of just stay whatever, but no, I'm excited for that. I love football season. I love it. It's that dual 2 windows, sitting in the meeting room waiting to do interviews, but then I got my football game on the other laptop, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I love college sports, but yeah, football. Let's go.
I think the only bigger fan of college sports than you in the MMA world might be Joe Martinez. That dude always has something college on.
Yeah.
Always.
I know Fabiano's a real big one too. I think the people that went, he's big, but it's funny because I know I think he went to Penn State, but then there was times when we were playing like Notre Dame too, he'd start rooting. I was like, bro, pick a team. Pick a team and stay with it. Is it Penn State or is it whatever? I was like, I'm all for everybody repping their team, and I don't care who it is. If you're repping your team and you're hating Ohio State, that's fine, but just pick one team, bro. You can't root for every team that goes against us. Pick one and stay with it. If not, then you're just a hater. Then I'm just gonna hate on you.
Well, I mean, as a Dallas fan, as a Dallas native, and therefore by nature a Dallas Cowboys fan, I do know what it's like to have just seemingly people cheer for every team you play. You know what I mean? Like cheering against the Cowboys.
Oh god, I just saw a meme that you bring up the Dallas. Someone was like, it was this poor story on Facebook. This poor kid, he filed for the parents. He's like, I can't stay with my mom and dad, my dad, because he beats me. And the courts were like, well, then you should try to live with your mother. And he's like, no, my mom also beat me. And they were like, but then the aunt petitioned to take custody. And he was like, no, my aunt beats me as well. And the courts are like, well, we feel so bad about this because we didn't know what we do. So we gave him to the Dallas Cowboys because they can't beat anybody. Or something along those lines. And I was just like, holy cow. I was like, how did this get on my timeline? But that literally, I think that was today. So it's so funny you bring up the Cowboys. I was like, bro, random just memes against the Cowboys. They get a lot of heat.
Bro, I saw one the other day. It was like, it was so bad. It was like, investigations, police were called out to the training center of the Cowboys because there was an unidentified powdery white substance, and they had to get to the bottom of it, and ultimately it was decided that was the goal line, and they had never seen it before. I was like, okay, that's pretty clever. That's pretty clever. But yeah, everybody. Picking on the Cowboys, man.
That's funny.
I
hadn't heard that one. I'll have to use that.
You have to find that one. That would crack me up a little bit. So, all right, listen, I will have to watch the fights on replay Saturday night. If you happen to be in the Philadelphia area, we're doing a Next Gen show. It is basically our developmental series for our amateurs. So
get some belts on the line?
There is some titles on the line. It is interesting, too. This is the first time because we did a lot in Jersey, but actually I guess Pennsylvania rules are that you have to have at least 2 professional bouts in there. So we do have 2 professional bouts, but it's professional bouts that are kind of like early in their career. So we went ahead and left the champions that are the next gen as the main event. So they allowed us to do that because some commissions will only let you do no, you have to switch because it's like 2. So no, so we'll run our full amateur undercard, then we'll go to the kind of professional bouts that are undercard, and then we go to our championship matchup. So Cade Baradelli, I should say, against the undefeated J.J. McDonald in the main event. Cade is a very popular prospect in the area there, trains at under Jonathan Webb as well. So that'll be the main event. He's facing a tough undefeated dude in J.J. McDonald, and then you've got a couple of undefeated guys with Georgie Barliani and Jack Sheehan as well. So those will be the 2 championship matchups. So that actually closed the show, and they'll actually get to fight after a couple of the professional fighters because they're the titles and they're the headliners. So looking forward to it. No broadcast for that one. It'll be a dark event, but if you're in the Philadelphia area and you want to come to 2300 Arena, still some tickets available. Not a ton of tickets, I'll tell you, man. It's a popular show, man. There's a lot of real popular athletes from the area on the card, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. So that's where I will be on Saturday night. Be interesting for me because we're not doing a broadcast, so it will be the first. Well, it's the second CFFC event, but the first one was different circumstances, and I was just drinking in the crowd, and that was before I quit. But but this will be the first one that I don't actually work on the broadcast, so I'll actually be kind of learning the front of the house and stuff because I don't normally get to see all the operations and how everything works in the back because I'm on air. So I'm actually looking forward to that, walking around and learning another aspect of the CFFC business. So yeah, there you go.
I like it.
Should be fun. Meanwhile, you're this weekend just handling gardening duties, I guess.
Gardening duties, and then
plants
probably just
big. I didn't want to start off with gardening another week, but I do want to give it a mention. The plants they're growing up. You're bringing them outside. You're bringing them into the real world.
There's some out there hardening up, which is. It's a real term. It's not just like a pervert term. You got to harden them for the outside before you plant them.
I feel it's like raising a young man. You got to harden them up a little bit. You know what I mean? You got to get them ready for the world.
Get them tough, ready for the world. But yeah, they got some outside, and I'm going to be doing that and just literally chilling. I'm telling you, these rare weekends when the UFC's on the road and I don't have to do anything, I literally just turn off. I'm going to read and probably hang with the plants and be boring as all get out and just enjoy watching the fights on TV and going to love it.
Well, we will be back to a normal time next week because I do not have another. So this is 3 straight weeks. I got 1 week in between, and then we have 2 more. So
that'll be what, Thursday? I've lost track of what day we do this.
I don't even know anymore. I can't keep track of any of my days anymore, man. My schedule's insane. But yeah, Thursday. So I don't know. Maybe want to see what old Hot T's up to, or maybe somebody else.
I think he's going to be here in the next couple minutes. We're supposed to work out, and he was like, I was like, we're almost done taping, or we could ask him. But maybe we'll drag him in and see if he wants to be on.
Bring in a little group chat in the Frosty Beverage or something like that.
Ooh, I like that.
Fun little afternoon.
Why not?
I love it. All right. Well, listen, everybody, enjoy the fights this weekend. As I said, I'm going to watch my replay. We'll talk about them all next week. Dana White's Contender Series before we get together again. Tune in next Tuesday night. I know everybody's going to be super excited about Bellemere, and understandably so. But you do have CFFC middleweight champ Nick Galante on there, as well as welterweight Ronald Humphrey, who is a scary, scary prospect. If you haven't seen his fight on CFFC, check out his debut. It was very, very impressive, to say the least.
I'm telling you, the Contender Series is popping this year. It is really good. We're having a lot of repeats, but there is a reason for that. You know, I mean, they're bringing people back to put on some great things, and yeah, man, the talent it's fun. It's fun.
I agree.
What a good time.
I agree. All right, I got to run. Got to get some stuff done, pack up. I'm flying out tonight. So appreciate everybody for taking this special Wednesday edition. We'll catch you next week. Hopefully we'll have the group together.
The Thursday edition.
The Thursday edition. The special Thursday edition. Hasn't been one in a month. They can't tell me about what regular time is anymore. Whatever day we come. Thanks for listening.